Hi everybody, Desert Guardian back again, and as most of you know, I am a big Glock fan. I have several Glocks of multiple different generations. I've got polymer 80s that I've built from the ground up, both the 17 and the 19. I mean, I've owned just about every caliber of Glock. Pretty much stick with the 9mm nowadays because all my 45s are with the M&P series and my 1911s, so all my old man guns. But hey, I am super excited to talk to you about this today. I just ran by Pistol Parlour and picked up the brand new Glock 19 Gen 5. So I just wanted to show it off to you, go over some comparisons to some previous generations, and give you a good comprehensive look. So, hit the camera, sorry, I'll wobble a little bit. All right, so let's take a look. So pop open the box, it's your standard Glock. This particular one has the night sights, the 3 15-round mags, Glock loader, the 4 grip enhancers, so to speak, to make it thicker or thinner. Of course, they've got the little beaver tail on some of them. The lock, the paperwork, you know, all your standard stuff that Glock comes with. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, and we'll set the box aside, and we'll just take a look. So the grip extensions on it all fit over the frame that's in it. So in its current fashion right now, just right out of the box with no grip extension on it, is the smallest you're going to find, and it actually has less palm swell and less thickness than most non grip extension Glocks like the 2 and the 3. It's a little bit smaller, so it's great for people with the smaller hands. So here she is in all of her glory, the Gen 5 Glock 19. Now, most of the features usually stand out to people right off the bat, and those are going to be the beveled front nose. The finish on it is kind of like the RTF2. It's got the little pyramids in it. Hey, look at that, no finger grooves, and of course, the ambidextrous slide release. So those are what people notice right off the bat. There's a bunch of other differences with it that aren't quite as visible. For one, their new finish on it is a very, very thick, hard coat black. Now, my friend John over at Maple Leaf Firearms has already had the pleasure to do some machine work on it, kind of like I did with my Gen 4. I'll show you in a minute. And he said that this finish on it is just super hard, but once you break into it, once you start machining it off, it comes off almost in like an armor-like plate. So I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I mean, if you were to drop this thing on the street and it took a chip out of it, I don't know what kind of adverse effect that's going to have on the life of the finish. But it's hard. It's hard, and it's black, and it's sexy. You know, hey, it's Glock. It's square and it's black, just like every other generation. So, you know, as most of you know, they went with an ambidextrous slide release. You know, and that was to appease any number of different agencies, whether the FBI wanting a new gun or the Army wanting the ambidextrous, all modular, whatever. You know, it's basically catching up with everybody else. Yes, there were law enforcement agencies that requested it. Yes, they were competing for a military contract. But to be honest with you, Smith & Wesson M&P has had it since their inception. The HKs have it. There's all kinds of, you know, CZ, all these other handguns already have the ambidextrous slide release for all the lefties out there. So it's time to get on board, Glock, and they did. So that's great. You know, it's funny, you talk to people about, hey, what's the latest innovation with Glock? And of course you get all the Glock naysayers that say, what do you mean innovation? It looks and acts and feels and it's just as reliable and everything's exactly the same as it's always been. Well, hey, that's an innovation all on its own. There's a lot of companies out there trying to play catch up with the reliability and just the overall hard use of the Glock with very, very little failure. So they did make a few improvements on it. I'm pretty impressed with it just holding it in my hand and looking at it. But yeah, let's take a deeper look. So one thing that I have done a little reading on is the built-in magwell. Has a little bit of a swell at the bottom of the frame here, you know, and a little bit of a beveled edge on the inside for the quicker, you know, mag changes. That's great. I love it. It feels very good in my hand for a 19. Let me grab my Gen 3 17 here. So this is the one pistol I have that has finger grooves on it that I really don't mind, just simply because of the size of the grip. It fits my hand well. Now, my hand stays off of this area here. It's not near the mag. It's, you know, I don't feel any mag flare at the bottom like a magwell. But with the 19, my hand is kind of at the very edge. So that little flare actually feels kind of good. It feels good. It feels like it's holding it in place instead of, you know, a lot of people get into a compact pistol and then all of a sudden, hey, what do we do with our pinky? What do we do down here? But even with somebody with, you know, fairly average size hands, to be able to get a good solid grip on this, it does snug up a little bit with that little flare. So I like that a lot. I haven't had a chance to shoot it. I haven't had a chance to do any reloads with it, but I would imagine any enhancement like a magwell or a beveled, you know, mag entry point down here is going to be an improvement. So that's good news there. Second off, you know, I already talked about this a little bit, the finger grooves. On the 19, man, they just don't fit me. They don't fit a lot of people. And so that was another thing where competing with government contracts, law enforcement, FBI, the Army, whatever, that's another thing that was sort of a requirement was, hey, get rid of those things because we want something that fits everybody, not something that fits people with exactly that size finger. So, I mean, even the Gen 4 that I have, that I sent out, this is the one that Maple Leaf did all the custom work on and everything, and Hive, and you know, it's a beautiful setup. But even this one here, I put in the took a belt sander to the grooves and smoothed them out. Now I still want to kind of get in there and do some sort of stippling in there just for extra grip, but that just made it, you know, a whole lot better. Now that I have this out, I do want to point out one difference between the 4 and the 5 with regard to the bottom of the frame here, or the magwell as it were. The Gen 5 has this thumb spot for pulling mags, much like the Gen 3 and even the Gen 2. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I've never had a problem with my Gen 2. I've never had a problem with my Gen 3. I really can't give you an opinion either way, other than where it flares out, it does make kind of a sharp point right here. But honestly, unless I'm sticking my finger in it or playing with it, you know, I'm not feeling that sharp point, so no big deal there. But that's one thing about my Gen 4 that I did like, especially after I took the finger grooves off, is it has this little lip here, which kind of serves the same purpose as the flared frame on the Gen 5. It really holds my hand in place. So, but regardless, I'm not talking about the Gen 4 right now, I'm talking about the Gen 5. Moving up from the mag area, the Gen 5 has the nice, similar to like the RTF2 finish on it. So it's away from that smooth, knurled Glock finish they had with the 1, 2, 3, and got rid of in the 4. So, you know, good positive grip, nice kind of a reverse stippling on it. Like that a lot. And just up from that, we've got our mag release. The mag release is still an ambidextrous mag release like the Gen 4. So that's great for your righties and your lefties. And that's another reason why they went to the slide release ambidextrous. You know, hey, it's great. I'm a righty. I've got my button here. I've got my switch here. Oh, I'm a lefty. Cool. I can release my mag, but oh, I got to use my index finger to release the slide. No, that didn't work. So they went with the ambidextrous slide release. It's great to me. Doesn't matter. I'm right-handed, but hey, who knows? Maybe I'll carry 2 of these, one in each hip, and have to shoot right-handed, left-handed like a cowboy one of these days. Who knows? But yeah, so we got the ambidextrous slide release. Now, one thing that's going to do is, I mean, you guys have all seen these from me. My Polymer 80 builds, my Hive triggers, my Overwatch precision triggers, all the funky aftermarket stuff. Well, I will tell you this trigger will not work in the Gen 5, and I'll show you why. We'll go ahead and disassemble it here. So here's the frame of the Gen 5. Everything looks pretty similar, you know, other than here is your ambidextrous slide release. So this is one piece. The old slide release used to just slide in right here, right next to the trigger, had a hole in it. The trigger pin went right through it, had a spring on it, great, fine and dandy. But this one actually goes completely, let's see, I believe you can see it right down in here. It goes completely around the nose of the trigger. So aftermarket triggers aren't going to work. So let's take a look here. Let me grab my Gen 3 17 here. clear it. So this one is the one that we just put the Overwatch trigger on. So you can see the difference between the Gen 3 and the Gen 5. The trigger bar on the 5 hits a sharper angle and straighter into the trigger. And that's because the mag release of the slide release of the 5 is going out in front of it. So it's taking up space right here along the side, all the way in front of the trigger and back out. So, you know, the aftermarket's huge for Glock. People are going to jump on this real quick. I know there's already Gen 5 triggers in the work. I think there might be 1 or 2 already available. But, you know, I've seen them on Instagram. I've seen them on the internet. It's just a matter of moments before the aftermarket catches up with the Gen 5. It's the biggest, the easiest to modify, the easiest to trick out of any pistol out there. It's almost like big boy Legos, the way they're building stuff for it. So the Gen 5 is going to be no different. So, all right, so let's take a look here. So Gen 5 is still using the dual spring recoil mechanism, similar to the Gen 4. Now, the barrel is, you know, touted as a new, more accurate barrel for Glock. It was funny when they first came out, they're saying, oh, the barrel is going to let it shoot straighter and be on target faster. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know the technical specs, to be honest with you, up front of how that's possible. But hey, you know, if they're claiming that now you can put 2 bullets through the same hole quicker, great, more power to them. Improving on a barrel is always a plus. You know, that's why you see me with S3F barrels and backup tactical barrels in my other Glocks. Is I like to have a more precision, more match grade barrel. And so Glock is saying, hey, you don't need to replace this. We've already done that for you. So great news on the barrel. Now onto the slide. We already talked about the finish a little bit. This particular one comes with tritium night sights, which is awesome. But here's one of my favorite parts of the Gen 5 is the beveled nose, the beveled front of the slide here. And I might be alone in this, but I just think that should be a part of anything that you're going to carry. Something that you're slipping in and out of a holster, whether it's an outside the waistband or an appendix holster, something like that. You want it to be able to get in and out pretty easily. So having that melted front end, who's it? Kimber calls it the carry melt. Having the beveled front end on it does aid in the insertion and extraction of the gun from a holster. So let's put this back together here. All right. Comes apart, goes together just like every other Glock. You've got your takedown in the same spot. I mean, essentially, mechanically speaking, it is a Glock. It's the same thing all the way around. So let's see, I've got one of my inside the waistband M2 tactical holsters here. This is just a standard Glock 17 or 19 holster. It's gonna fit every holster that your Glock 19 or Glock 17 has worked in so far. So no changes there. That's always a plus. I hate it when somebody changes a pistol just enough to make sure that your holsters don't fit anymore. So there we have it. There's the Gen 5. So let's do this. Let's grab my Gen 2 here. Saw a lot of stuff on the interwebs of, oh, look, the Gen 5. It's just the Gen 2 with a rail. And, you know, it's interesting because they did it. They took the finger grooves back off of it. But other than that, it's a totally different pistol. I mean, like I said, flared magwell, ambidextrous all the way around, the bevel on the nose. You know, I love my Gen 2. It's never failed me. It's just a fun, great all-around carry gun. Always on target, never fails. I mean, paint's wearing off of it in several different spots. But it's no Gen 5. I mean, let's see. Let me show you an example. Oh, yep, that's not going to work. But good news. It will on the Gen 5. Oop. And I might need to loosen it up a tiny bit. There we go. So there's the Enforce APL. You always got to keep a dime handy when you have one of these. Ouch, I just hit myself with the camera again. There we go. with a full-size APL on it. I mean, it's all just like a Glock 19 should be, just with ambidextrous. Pop that back off. And let's see here. Oh, one more. Didn't think I had it on that tight. So there's the Gen 5. There's the Gen 4. The Gen 2. I'm going to run out of room here. And of course, the Gen 3. And I really wish I still had my Gen 1, but I have no idea where that thing ended up a million years ago. But yeah, there it is. There's the whole family, with the newest edition being the Gen 5. It feels great. It feels like a Glock. I love the way a Glock feels and shoots and sits in my hand. I love how reliable it is. I love how it'll feed anything you stuff into it. With the new barrel from Glock, you can put lead bullets through it. That's a big plus. But other than that, it is just a Glock. It's so perfectly simple. Is it, you know, Glock's always like Glock perfection. Is it perfection? Heck no. I can tell you things I don't like about it. But I can tell you for a reliability standpoint, for a grab it and go, for something that's never going to let you down, yeah, the Gen 5 hits the mark. You know, they did a great job. I can't wait to get out, put a few rounds through it, test out the new quote-unquote more accurate barrel, feel the new grip in my hands with some rounds going down range. But yeah, if you get a chance to, check it out. There it is, the Gen 5 Glock 19. If you guys have any other questions, concerns, anything, or you want to see something close up on it, leave me a comment below. As for now, that's it. Hit up Pistol Parlour, www.pistolparlour.com. They can ship one of these things anywhere. If you want one, they got a great deal. I'll put some information right after the video. As for now, Desert Guardian, out.